these 9 items are not worth your money. And I think it applies to any kind of wardrobe, regardless of the way you dress or your lifestyle. I think we all know how frustrating it is to spend money on something only to feel like it's not worth it. And here are the 9 wardrobe items I don't recommend anyone buying ever. The first ones are clothes in the wrong size, whether if they are too big or too small. I used to buy clothes one size down as a way to motivate myself to lose weight, especially after I had my baby. And I know I'm not alone in this because I picked up that tip online. At least for me, it didn't work. If anything, I felt guilty that I wasn't the size I wanted to be. Plus, I had all these clothes I couldn't fit in. And when I eventually lost my baby weight, my taste had changed and all those clothes didn't speak to me anymore. And that wasn't even it. I also have the experience of buying clothes that were too big because I really liked the design. I bought them thinking I'll get them altered by the tailor. Well, it never happened. So I really don't recommend buying clothes that don't fit. Instead, buy what fits you now. And if life changes, as it always does, you can then adjust your wardrobe accordingly and not the other way around. Something else I don't recommend splurging on are really expensive basic pieces. So I'm referring to t-shirts, jumpers, and even your jeans. Don't get me wrong, I'm actually all about starting my wardrobe with very well-made basic pieces. And I think it's worth every penny to invest in good materials. For example, I almost always go for cashmere when I buy a jumper because it's a very breathable material and it feels so soft and luxurious to wear. But I don't think you need to buy cashmere from the highest end luxury brands. Cashmere in itself is a premium material, and if you shop around, you'll find some really amazing mid-range brands that offer fantastic quality. Personally, I'll not spend over a certain price point for my cashmere because I'm not sure if I'll actually be able to tell the difference. But if you must have a premium brand name on your cashmere, I recommend browsing on outlet websites like the Outnet. For instance, the jumper I'm wearing today is from Pringle of Scotland. Their jumpers usually range from about £700 to £900, but I got this one at about £250 from the Outnet. You see, the whole idea of basic pieces is that they look basic, so you really don't have to pay a premium for the latest designs just because they are from the newest collections. I feel like especially with the rise of the quiet luxury trend, there's this notion that we should go for the top range of everything, including our basic t-shirts and socks. So I think we should take some time to establish if paying so much more will actually make a difference in terms of quality and the way we look. For example, I started wearing jeans from Topshop back in university, and when I started buying luxury items, I thought I should upgrade my jeans as well. But after trying out so many different brands, I just couldn't find anything that looks good on me. So I decided I'm not going to pay more just for the novelty of luxury brands. The next things I would not recommend buying are Impractical handbags. I know some people see their bags as accessories, but for most of us on a day-to-day basis, handbags are bags first and accessories second. So for your first few bags at least, I recommend going for something practical. This means choosing a size that makes sense for what you want to carry. You might also want to go for a more durable material and a color that will complement a lot of things in your wardrobe. I think it's also important to not buy something that feels overly luxurious because otherwise you might feel a bit anxious and protective instead of just enjoying the handbag. And that brings me to the fifth thing I don't recommend anyone buying for their wardrobe, and that is anything that goes beyond your budget. I truly believe if you buy something knowing that you shouldn't, you won't be able to enjoy it. I mean, I wouldn't want to be reminded of my own lack of self-control every time I use an item that I know I shouldn't have purchased. The next ones are painful shoes, and I'm not just referring to high heels, although I don't buy high heels anymore because they are a pain to walk in. But I feel like even certain flat shoes can be quite uncomfortable as well. I also want to point out that just because a pair of shoes are expensive, it doesn't always mean they are nice to walk in. Years ago, when I was trying to build a purchase history at Hermes, I was really interested in their loafers until I came across an Instagram post where a blogger wore her Hermes loafers while traveling in Japan. And of course, when you travel, there's always a lot of sightseeing and walking, and apparently those Hermes loafers were really hurting her feet. As an emergency measure, she bought a pair of rather affordable trainers, and according to her, those trainers were so much more comfortable than her Hermes loafers, even though the Hermes ones cost 10 times more. I know we all walk differently and we all have different lifestyles, but I think comfy shoes are a non-negotiable element in any wardrobe. And by the way, a lot of comfortable shoes can look lovely as well, so it's not like you can only choose one thing or the other. When I gave up on the Hermes loafers, I found my tots. I absolutely love how they look, and they were lovely to walk in from day one. I also don't recommend buying summer pieces that can only be dry cleaned. I know we all have certain pieces in our wardrobe that will require dry cleaning. For example, I dry clean my scarves and my coats once or twice a year. But I typically avoid anything that has to be in close contact with my skin, especially if I know I'll be wearing them in the heat. For example, t-shirts and shorts. In the summer, you or I will be sweating quite a bit, so as you can imagine, these pieces will have to be cleaned on a regular basis, and that will quite possibly put you off wearing them just to avoid the very hefty dry cleaning bill. Something else I don't recommend is paying for anything just because of the logo. And yes, I do think some people pay a premium for the logo more than anything else, such as quality and material. This might sound harsh, but I think when you pay £400 for a Prada hair clip, you're paying for the novelty of people knowing that the hair clip is from Prada. Now, this hair clip might be incredibly well made, but I don't think it'll be worth £400 if the logo wasn't there. And this applies to so many things nowadays, whether if it's a designer t-shirt with a big logo, a heavily overpriced luxury handbag made of plastic, or a little canvas pouch just to carry your AirPods. Sometimes we like to justify these kind of purchases saying we are paying for the quality. One thing that really helps me is by asking myself some really honest questions, such as, if the logo wasn't there, would I pay the same price for it? Now, the desire to impress people is a very human thing, and I feel like we all have that tendency now and again, but when you realize how busy everyone is with their own life and they don't really pay that much attention to how well we are supposedly doing, you start to see these kind of luxury items with a very different lens. I also don't recommend having a huge collection of special occasion dresses because they can be quite restrictive in terms of the occasions you can wear them for. Plus, they can also be quite tricky to restyle. So what I mean is, with a simple jumper, for example, there are so many ways you can style it, whether if it's with a pair of jeans, a skirt, or a scarf. And you can dress it up or down depending on the coat you put on. But with a fancy dress, there are limitations to what you can do with it in order for you to wear it more in your daily life. But I understand we all need to go to a party or a wedding now and again. So I recommend keeping your special occasion collection to about 10 to 20% of your entire wardrobe. But obviously that can vary depending on your lifestyle. Another wardrobe item not worth paying for is anything that makes you feel itchy because you simply won't wear it. Personally, my skin doesn't do well with acrylic, so I avoid jumpers made of this material at all costs. Alpaca wool is another material that is known to be a little bit itchy. I had a few alpaca jumpers before and it was the same for me. So now I tend to always go for cashmere, cotton, linen and silk for my clothes. Silk, for example, is incredibly kind and soft on the skin. I've actually been really enjoying the Xiangyun silk because not only is it soft, it's also wrinkle resistant, unlike the usual glossy and smooth silk we are used to. And those are the 9 things not worth buying for any wardrobe. Let me know if you agree with me or if you have anything to add. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the comment section.